WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change!
I can't believe I'm putting my voice to this.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Thank you for your irrelevant opinion.
And now, here's your host of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry.
The first thing you need to do is to tell these people to shut up if you want to hear what I gotta say. I'm a broadcast journalist. I have a right to my opinion.
Oh, son of a...
I am the best on this microphone, in that ring, even at commentary.
There's the sound of the bell, and that means we are off. Welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside Nick Cataldi.
Hey.
Pushing the buttons, turning the dials. So you have it so spot on every time that we're never sure if it's a recording or if it's the real you. Is it live or is it Memorex? That is the question with Nick Cataldi's yay. I know, for like the 5 listeners who actually get that joke.
I would have been a good lip syncer if I had a hit song. You know what I'm saying?
You could always blame it on the rain.
Oh, no. Boo! That's pretty good, actually. I like that. I did like that one, actually.
We're off to a rousing start, aren't we? Wow.
There's somebody out there going, huh? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like a Milli Vanilli reference from what?
Exactly.
Oh, gosh, almost 25 years ago now. Where has my youth gone?
Well, not that.
Speaking of where has my youth gone, Luke is conspicuous by his absence. No, he had I think you refer to him as Lamont, usually.
Lamont, Lawrence.
Gosh, you are the Endora to his Darren. Man, look at me just spouting off all kinds of older than old school references. Usually that's what you're here for. You're usually throwing a DiNucci or a San Martino out there. Yeah, here I am throwing it out instead. Oh, goodness, where to start? Well, I guess we'll kind of go in the follow-up and fallout from what has been Warrior Week with the WWE Network. A lot of tribute packages and videos and whatnot put together with the Ultimate Warrior. So a few stories to throw out because of that. First of all, the Warrior's cause of death was revealed through the autopsy. As I'd mentioned on last week's show, an autopsy had been scheduled for the Thursday after Warrior had passed. And the results came in. The Ultimate Warrior's death a week and a half ago was caused by a massive heart attack, according to the autopsy report. No real surprise there, considering witnesses on the scene saw him clutching his chest before collapsing. So this is just kind of the official word on it. TMZ reporting the official cause was listed as atherosclerotic arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease.
Should I have hit the dump switch on that one?
No.
I was making sure you weren't cursing. You know?
No.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong.
I think you did pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, nor do I play one on radio. So,
Dr. Fearon.
Yeah, Dr. Derry, Dr. Fine, Dr. Howard, Dr. My references keep getting older and older. I went from 91 to the 60s. Now I'm going back to the 30s with the Stooges.
Right.
What is going on with me? Anyway, the death was labeled as natural, meaning alcohol and drugs were not a factor.
Well, not at the moment.
Not an immediate factor, exactly.
But again, was he? All kidding aside, was he known for that sort of thing? Unfortunately, or
well, back in the 80s, yeah. I mean, you looked at him; he was jacked to the gills, and that was kind of a product of the time.
Right.
I mean, you look at Hogan in 89, 90, 91 versus after the steroid distribution trial of the WWF in 92, and you see him in the mid-90s, and there's probably a good 70-pound difference in the Hulkster. I mean, those 24-inch pythons shrunk up real quick after the 92 steroid trials and whatnot, the steroid scandal with the WWF. So there was, even when Warrior came back in 92, he looked considerably smaller than he did in 89, 90, and 91. So
did I mention there was somebody who had said to me once that he was from Trenton? Did I mention that last week or whenever?
I forget off the top of my head.
I didn't believe it then, but I thought to myself, anything's possible, you know. But somebody had insisted he was from Trenton. I said, I don't think so. This is a long time ago. And he may have had friends there or family there even, but I didn't recall him ever being said that he was from Trenton.
Yeah, not that I recall.
Yeah. I had heard that, I guess, a long time ago.
Rumors in wrestling are like peanut butter.
Well,
and
sure.
jelly.
I mean, S.D. Jones was billed from Philadelphia, but he was no more from Philadelphia than I am from Los Angeles. I mean, but still and all. But that's a whole different thing, too. His name wasn't S.D. Jones,
Yeah, there were a lot of those, including one that got our young intern. There was a satire website reporting, wink, wink, that The Undertaker had passed away. And there was a lot of satire in the story that if you had read, you would have been like, all right, this is too ridiculous. Yeah, his wife saying it, to try to wake him up, she hit him over the back with a steel chair. And yeah, exactly. It was meant to be funny, but if you just look at the headline, you go, oh my gosh, The Undertaker's dead. Yeah, so kind of like what I said a couple weeks ago. If you look up gullible in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of Lucas.
Well, Gorilla Monsoon was from Manchuria initially,
But yeah, there's a lot of that. There's another rumor going around. I'll throw it out there. We've gotten our hopes up with this before, but supposedly WWE is looking into having the 2015 Royal Rumble pay-per-view emanate from Philadelphia, but there's no confirmation on that. There's no officiality or anything like that. Kind of doing a little bit of shuffling. Nick's going to take care of some phone action, and we're going to keep talking a little bit of Warrior here. WWE is helping out Warrior's widow. They sent a couple of senior officials to Arizona to help Ultimate Warrior's widow, Dana. TMZ reporting that the employees are helping with issues such as grocery shopping and keeping other family members updated so that way she is able to spend time with her children as she is grieving. And let the Sting speculation continue. Yes, Steve Borden, better known in WCW and TNA as Sting, appearing on WWE Network's Ultimate Warrior special this past Tuesday in a 20-second clip. So there were initially some rumblings. I think at one point Meltzer reported and then unreported from the Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer, of course, that Sting had signed and then kind of pulled it back. So now, the speculation is going to continue with that. And speaking of Dana, she issued a statement this past week, the Ultimate Warrior's widowed wife. Dana A. Warrior issuing her first statement following the death of husband Ultimate Warrior last week, actually about a week and a half ago now. She says, quote, "It is with an absolutely broken heart I reach out to you. Since the passing of my husband, I have been fortunate enough to insulate my sweet girls and myself from the outside world. In this bubble, we have grieved and continue to do so. For a week, I did not allow any television or media to seep through our cocoon. I was told, though, of the outpouring of love for my beloved husband and support for, as he always called us, his warrior girls. I can only say thank you. On Sunday night, I was told WWE would pay tribute to Warrior, and so I set the DVR planning to watch it when we were ready. As the hour neared, I broke resolve and turned on every TV in the house to full blast and snuggled our daughters close to me on the couch, unsure of what we would see. As the scene unfolded with that amazing roster of talent gathered, donning Ultimate Warrior t-shirts and even his face paint, we cheered and sobbed simultaneously. To everyone who stood there, thank you. My girls will remember your bowed heads for the rest of their lives. You are not just superstars, you are super people. I cannot put words to what that video tribute meant. We watched it multiple times, and this morning, it was how I started my day. Mornings are the hardest for me. I will treasure that song and those images more than anything I own. Vindication, ultimate perfection." Wow, powerful stuff from Mrs. Warrior. I know, it feels weird to say that, but, I mean, it literally and legally, thanks to the Ultimate Warrior.
Absurd. You should be.
Well, I think I told you about that, even if you don't know. As part of a dispute over merchandising rights back in '93, Jim Hellwig, who played the Ultimate Warrior, legally changed his name to Warrior.
Was that the reason?
That was part of it, but a little bit of it was, him absorbing himself in his gimmick. So, yeah, since 1993, he has been known in all legal documents as Mr. Warrior. So his wife is Dana Warrior.
Right. And
yeah, and his two girls, also.
And Lloyd Free is World Be Free, and...
Ron Artest is Meta World Peace.
Right.
Yeah, there are a few of those.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler.
I don't know if he actually changed his name to Marvel. He did? Okay.
Which I always thought he was a little too down to earth for that, even though he's a fighter. I just didn't think he'd be that goofy,
Yeah, you got me. All right, there's a lot of other stuff to get to. Coming up later this hour, I've got a Saudi Sausage Fest update. Nothing on that?
A Saudi
Sausage Fest.
Saudi,
as in Saudi Arabia.
I know what you meant. That's why I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, see? That's what makes for a good tease.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you go,
Saudi,
what is he talking about?
I was
here?
absorbing that one.
Yeah.
No, I was, get ready, digesting it. The knee slapper.
I see what you did there. Also, the WWE Raw script leaked online. We'll talk about that. I've got all 18 glorious pages of it here. I won't go through every bit of it because it'll take more than a few hours, but certainly a lot to get into with that. DirecTV no longer carrying WWE pay-per-views. I've got the full story for that. GFW, the new organization headed by Jeff Jarrett, they've got a partnership with a TV production company. We'll talk about that. And a few programming notes, not only here for the show, but from a few of our friends and sponsors in the area. First of all, for the upcoming weeks here on this very program, next week, April 26th, I'm scheduled to be preempted. This is usually where you go in and throw like a boo or something. No?
What? Where? Oh.
Next Saturday, preempted, weather pending for Pennsbury High School baseball.
I guess I'm so used to that sort of thing. I don't... It doesn't, Well,
I mean, I still have to inform the people.
No. Informing,
Yeah, providing information. That's what I do as a broadcast journalist.
I guess I just don't get worked up about it one way or the other.
Well, who said I was worked up?
I don't. Well, you were expecting a response from me. I know a guy that got mad about it once at another station. He got preempted. They fired him.
I know it comes with the territory, but I'm letting the people know. I mean, I could have kept it a secret, and then people would have turned on their radios at 12 next week and gotten the fourth inning of Pennsbury High School baseball.
Would have been funny.
But I don't like to swerve the people. It's not what I do.
You're a nice guy.
I know. Too nice for my own good sometimes.
Throw up. Sheesh. No, this idiot, we worked at, I guess I can say it now, there's no longer a radio station, New Jersey Network.
Okay.
Which was owned technically by the state and the governor. Mm-hmm. And the governor was going to speak. So they were going to preempt this fellow in the afternoon.
Well, that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, but he kicked and carried on. He forgot who the true boss was. The governor, Florio, I didn't particularly care for him, but he was, in fact, the boss. He did own the station for as long as he was governor. So,
fair enough. Yeah. But I'm not giving out about it. It comes with the territory. Lesson. It's not the first preemption. It won't be the last. I'm just letting people know.
Right.
Weather pending, I won't be on next week. That's all.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. Yeah, there you go. Little.
Don't fire me. Okay.
Little sniffle. Yeah, exactly. And then we're back on the air May 3rd for an Extreme Rules preview. The WWE pay-per-view coming up.
Rules.
Extreme Rules.
That's funny. In wrestling.
Yeah, the rules of wrestling. What happened to the rules of wrestling? I know somewhere.
I remember when they would call guys years ago rule breakers. I used to think, where's the rule book? Rule breakers. What rules do they break? Even the good guys broke the rules, too. Everybody broke the rules. There's no rules.
Somewhere in Ireland, Steve from OSW Review is grinning ear to ear.
Rule breakers.
The fact that I'm throwing out what about the rules of wrestling. Gotta love it. But then, here's a biggie. Saturday, May 10th. 3 weeks, I believe, from today. Yeah, I can add, right? Pro Wrestling Weekly is taking a road trip. Yeah, we're going to be on remote. That's right. We'll be live from Senator Tommy Tomlinson's Children's Expo from Council Rock South High School, 2002 Rock Way in Holland, PA.
Why don't you guys have a cage match? You and him.
What, me and Lucas?
No, you and Tommy Tomlinson.
Oh, me and Tommy Tomlinson?
Yeah.
I don't have any issues with Tommy Tomlinson.
Oh, come on. It's wrestling. Okay, we're going to have a steel cage match. Okay?
I don't know. I don't think either of us should be showing up in tights. That's just or trunks. Geez. That's a sight nobody wants to see.
The Brooklyn Brawler and who was it? Adrian Adonis. I mean, he was hardly somebody who should have been.
Even the American Dream, Death the Road, if you will.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't. No polka dot for me.
Kamada and who was it? The big
I know
Splash
there are a few. Yeah, there are quite a few, but. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. That's that's my motto for a lot of things. Anyway, the expo runs from 11 to 2. I'll be on location broadcasting live from noon to 1, so come on out for that. For more information on the expo, visit senatortomlinson.com. So there we go. No show next week, weather pending. I'm going to keep saying that just if it gets rained out, then what the heck? We'll be on. Yeah, I'll be here. Yeah. Not really going anywhere. And then if there is no show, I'll have my predictions certain to go wrong for the TNA Sacrifice pay-per-view. Yeah, TNA still exists, and yeah, they have a pay-per-view coming up, so we'll talk a little bit about that coming up.
TNA will always exist. I mean, I'm sorry, my mistake.
No, total nonstop action wrestling.
Oh.
Yeah. Another Vince Russo creation. Here's another one that you'll crack up at. As kind of one of the factions in the early part of TNA, there was Sports Entertainment Extreme.
Sports
Entertainment Extreme. The faction, yes, with the initials SEX. Very clever.
Of course, yeah.
Of course, yeah. You know, it was on Vince Russo's mind.
Yeah. You think?
Oh, gosh. But not necessarily on mine. All right, we'll take care of some business. We'll come back. We'll get to Ron on the other side, as well as you. 215-949-3232 or toll free at 888-922-2149. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. I feel like I need to throw the disclaimer, bet with your head, not over it. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your host, Fearon Derry.
I got to look out for the people. It's what I do. Yes, it most certainly is.
I have a gambling problem.
Well, you got the phone number there.
Well, every time I gamble, I lose money. That's my gambling problem. You know.
It's like the people who say, I don't have a drinking problem, I have a stopping problem.
You know.
Took that old line from the Hollywood Square. Man, I am stuck in the past. I don't know what it is.
It was a great show, and I really...
Charlie Weaver, I think, had that line?
Charlie Weaver, and who else was a regular? Paul Lynde, of course.
Yeah, Paul Lynde, Wally Cox, Rosemarie.
Yeah, but you know what? I really used to get really annoyed when some of these shows would make comebacks years later. And you know what? That was one of them.
Well, that had two different... I was going to say, we're going way off topic here.
Bill Cosby. Yes, you're right, we are.
So let's get back into
gambling, though. And,
exactly.
I have a gambling problem. Okay.
More tangents than usual, and Lucas isn't here.
Right.
Oh, if only I were on the whole, you're going to get me in trouble, and I didn't even do anything. But yeah. Oh, well. I'll have to have something here on the side. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly, the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio. And we're here, Fearon Derry, alongside Nick Cataldi, talking all kinds of stuff. Let's go ahead and get to the phones. Let's get to Ron from Morrisville, who's been hanging on. Ron, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
How you doing this week?
Not too bad. What's going on?
I was just commenting on that, the Open Warrior thing. It was just like, everything was bad timing. I mean, the WrestleMania was the Undertaker streak ending and everything else, and Daniel Bryan now considered the face of the WWE, and all of a sudden, Ultimate Warrior came into the thing, and then I heard about the rumor with the Undertaker the next day. I was like,
well, no, that was a satire website. That the Undertaker is alive and well. All of a sudden, he's the next Abe Vigoda. I don't know what's.
I don't know. I mean, I'm reading this thing that saying that she hit him in the back of a chair, and he didn't respond.
It was
why would she hit him in the back of a chair?
It was a satire story. It was written. Oh gosh, why do I go over these things every year?
I'm gonna quote something that you usually say. It was like a rat rumor. Okay, put it that way. That type of thing. And when I heard that, I said, "Nah, come on now. Now it's too close to Ultimate. Who's next?"
Yeah, and that was why they did the gag, and very few people took it seriously, and apparently Lucas was one of them, but that's all right. We got him straightened out.
And I did tell him, I said, I didn't think it was real. Because it was too close to WrestleMania. I mean, who's next?
Although, didn't you throw a few people for a loop by writing that it was too good to be true?
Yeah, I did write that.
That had a lot of people perplexed.
Yeah, I mean, I did read more about it now, but I want to talk about something else. You know, my friends were talking about this Daniel Bryan being the champion in WWE, and then you got Eric Young champion at TNA. Are they looking for younger finally going to look for the younger wrestlers to become champions? Because, I mean, Eric Young, okay, Grant, he hasn't been a champion in I don't know how many years now, and they both put him in matches where they thought that they're going to be easily defeated. The Monsters of Ball, I thought that was a match fit for a bit, and here he loses the match to Eric Young. And now TNA's even getting better. I think it's getting better every week. Something new is happening. There's Robert Roode and James Storm against Bully Ray and Bully Ray and I got his name now. I can't think of his name now.
Well, let me take a few of those points. The I guess issue that a lot of people have had with Eric Young becoming champion is that it kind of seems like TNA is copycatting off of WWE. That all of a sudden you've got the out of nowhere comedic kind of non-really contender of a wrestler. All of a sudden in 2 weeks goes from comedy bits with ODB to being the plucky underdog bearded champion, and it seems like Eric Young is Daniel Bryan light, and it seems too coincidental that it happens on the same week as WrestleMania. It's kind of like, really, TNA, you're gonna go with this non-original? It makes them look Bush League by directly copying what WWE's doing.
And that's what we were saying about the general manager business with Stephanie and to relate to that, you got Dixie Carter doing the same thing, exact same thing. They call the heel general managers. They copied each other, and who's next?
Well, I think when it comes to creativity, I think TNA is going to kind of always be playing follow the leader in that regard until they find a way to differentiate themselves.
Yeah, and then I'm hearing now that Spike TV is going to lose TNA. Is that you
I haven't heard anything about that, and I think they'll be around as long as the Carters want to keep pumping money into it. Thanks so much for the call. I'm coming up against it here. Yeah, the lines are filling up quickly, to say the least. And one of them, of course, being Ed the Showstopper, Ed from Northeast Philly. Ed, what's going on?
Good afternoon. We have an Impact tour coming to the area this June. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, in June 19th at the Sands.
Okay, the Sands in Bethlehem.
Yeah. Three places in New York. I think it's the Manhattan Center at the end of the month of June, and Lakewood, New Jersey.
You got people driving all over, Ed. Hope you can afford the fuel bill.
I think WWE made a mistake when they double booked their show on the June 22nd.
Made a mistake?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
They have one here in Philly and one in Delaware, both at the same time.
Well, no. They have two. They have it's kind of like a split squad. In spring training they have half the roster in one area and half the roster in the other. Like, for example, when WWE was in Trenton last month, they at the same exact time had Daniel Bryan was headlining in Binghamton, New York. So half the roster was in Binghamton, New York. The other half was in Trenton. So you got to see, if you were in Trenton, you got to see John Cena, Randy Orton, The Shield. And if you were up in Binghamton, New York, you got to see Daniel Bryan. You got to see Cody Rhodes and Goldust. So it was a split squad type deal. And they do that with a lot of their house shows. It kind of hasn't really changed, even though the brand extension isn't there anymore. But you still essentially have a not necessarily a Raw and SmackDown roster, but you have half the roster in one location, half the roster in the other. So you can do two shows and make twice the money.
And don't forget Extreme Rising next weekend.
Yes, Extreme Rising. There's a lot going down at the ECW Arena. Two shows, one Friday night, one Saturday night, and I think also a Lucha Libre thing going on Sunday. Unfortunately, I'm unable to make any of them, as I attempted to exchange, the offer was thrown out there for me to try to exchange tickets for those, but I'm unfortunately unable to make any of them. Still working on getting getting a kickback from the rescheduled March 1st show that didn't happen. Hopefully that'll work itself out, though. I don't know. We'll see. I know Steve's working on a bunch of things. Steve, the owner and proprietor of Extreme Rising. I have confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe I have more than others, but I have confidence that it'll work out.
I'll probably be missing that one show for Moose Morale.
Yeah, there's a lot going on the 26th.
Yeah.
I know he's got something going on locally. I'll unfortunately be down in Philadelphia for something else. Yeah, it's hard to be in multiple places at the same time. It's a mess.
Even when there's time things.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what happens, but that's also the greatness that there is about this area of having an abundance of independent wrestling in this area. Is that you have options. I mean, it'd be great to have everything kind of split up and have things going on different weeks. And for the most part, a lot of the organizations try to do that. I mean, for example, last Saturday after the show, I went up to, all the way up to Gilbertsville, PA for Triple WA. We've had Dino Santa on the program before. It was their 34th anniversary show up in Zern's Farmers Market in Gilbertsville. So, granted, that was an hour drive for me, but it was a fun show. Nikolai Volkov was on the show. Yeah, he was still around. Balls Mahoney made an appearance over there, and that was a lot of fun. Now, tonight, actually, I'll be heading out to Paulsboro, New Jersey for Monster Factory Pro Wrestling. That should be a fun show, to say the least. I'll talk a little bit more about that coming up.
An R.I.P. Warrior.
Yeah, it's been the big talk the last week and a half, to say the least. And your condolences are
about that.
Certainly appreciated. Thanks so much for the call. I've got to run, unfortunately. Yes, happy Easter as well. That's right, Easter's tomorrow. And I'm sure for Rob Van Dam, he'll be celebrating the holiday as well. I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to get in more trouble.
How about Claude Van Damme?
I don't think Jean-Claude Van Damme celebrates the same way that Rob Van Dam does.
Oh.
We'll leave it at that.
Steven Seagal? I'm trying to help you.
I know you're trying to help, and it's certainly appreciated. All right. Let me talk about Monster Factory before I get in trouble here. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Heavyweight champion Brutal Joe Gibson will be defending against ECW original Jason Knight. Also, the Factory's Finest challenge AC Rock for the Monster Factory Tag Team Championship, and former partners collide as the Pride of Paulsboro Anthony Bennett faces Major McClendon. All this and more at the Monster Factory, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Doors open at 6, bell time 7 p.m. Tickets only $12. Now, the Monster Factory, they've been churning out major wrestling talent for over 30 years. Names like Tony Atlas, Bam Bam Bigelow, D'Lo Brown, and more recently, Sheamus and The Big Show, just to name a few. They've all trained at the Monster Factory. Current NXT superstar Steven Kubrick just got brought in after wrestling at the Monster Factory as recently as this past fall. He was known there as trademark Tommy Macklin. So, they've got fantastic wrestlers, and it's going to be a great show. Monster Factory, a history of success. Check them out at monsterfactory.org. Hopefully it'll make up for me forgetting a couple of the names a few weeks ago. Danny Cage giving me a stern talking to. I'm sure I'll see him tonight. We'll be good again. At least I hope so. And one other thing to let you know about. Just when you thought George's Cards and Collectibles was slowing down with wrestler appearances, think again. Coming up on Saturday, May 10th, WWE Hall of Famer Coco Beware will make his presence felt at George's in the Oxford Valley Mall from noon to 2. Also just confirmed, Saturday, June 14th, Val Venus makes his way to George's in the Oxford Valley Mall from noon to 2. That's right, the Big Valboski will penetrate the walls of the Oxford Valley Mall Sears Court. Check out George's 3 locations for all your sports and wrestling memorabilia needs. Their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, in the Oxford Valley Mall in the Sears Court on the lower level, and their newest location in the Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing. For more information on the upcoming appearances, Coco Beware and Val Venus, give George's a call at 215-943-2475 or visit them on the web at georgescollectibles.com. All right, I think I got all that stuff out of the way. I shouldn't say out of the way. I mean, it's important, but...
Figure of speech. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Figure of speech. All right, we'll take care of some business. We'll go across the pond to the great Harry Barnett on the other side. We'll make sure he gets his full time because I know we're up against a break here. Also, we'll talk about the WWE Monday Night Raw script draft that was leaked online, and still to come, that Saudi Sausage Fest update. Don't want to miss that. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, April 19. On this date in 1998, WCW held its Spring Stampede pay-per-view. In the main event, Randy Savage pinned Sting in a no disqualification match to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2004, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. In the main event, Chris Benoit and Edge defeated Batista and Ric Flair to win the World Tag Team Championship. On this date in 2009, TNA held its Lockdown pay-per-view in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In the main event, Mick Foley defeated Sting in a 6 sides of steel match to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, April 19.
You are listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Dairy.
Thank you, Easy Eric Bischoff. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Dairy here with you alongside Nick Cataldi.
Hey!
Pushing the buttons, turning the dials. I had to hesitate for a second there. I'm so used to saying alongside Lucas the intern, but he is not with us today. He's with us in spirit.
Who?
I'm sure he is.
Who?
No, not Jim Neidhart in a mask. No.
Only kidding.
Yes,
I like Lucas.
I know.
He's a good kid.
He is.
Nice fellow.
Exactly. All right, let's kick things off. He's waited long enough, and frankly, he's calling long distance has footed enough of the bill for Pat Dion and Merrill Reese. Let's bring up the great Harry Barnett from all the way across the pond in jolly old England.
Well, as you say, Lucas isn't there. I'm sure I'll blame Nick for this one, for leaving me on the line all this time, and for asking who after the only British caller for a good few months now. But I'll let.
So sometimes the phone lines are a little. They can be a little difficult to hear from. I know I've had my issues in the past, as a lot of people have. So it's not necessarily one individual. It could just be the lines themselves. Anyway, that notwithstanding, what's going on?
Well, I did have one question for you, and that is, how great is this Adam Rose guy? I mean, the vignettes, I've seen a couple of things from NXT. How amazing does this guy look?
Yeah, I mean, they're building him up to look like $1 million. Somebody I'd even want to party with, and I'm not much of a partier.
It's a unique entrance and a unique gimmick as well, wouldn't you say?
Very unique, and that uniqueness is something that I'm glad is coming back, because for a while everybody kind of looked cookie cutter, kind of almost like a muscle factory that was being churned out for the benefit of Vince and probably Kevin Dunn as well.
I'm not sure how much of NXT you watch, but is there anyone you see out there that you want to see come up and get a shot?
Well, I will admit, NXT is one of my Achilles' heels. It's not something that I've been able to catch up on, and there are only so many hours in the day, and I have to admit, lately I've been dedicating them to sleep, as opposed to catching up on things on the WWE Network. I still have to watch the Warrior tribute. That's how far behind I am.
Oh yeah.
I know, it's only so many. You know what? I'll sneak the iPhone under the table for Easter dinner tomorrow and catch up on a little bit. Plug the earbud in, sneak a little ham, watch a little Warrior, sneak a little side dish. Little NXT. Maybe I'll go that route.
Well, one more thing I wanted to ask you before I go as well. The last few episodes of Raw since WrestleMania have been pretty good. I don't know if you agree, but how long do you think that they can actually keep this momentum going?
Well, probably my biggest concern, and that kind of leads into what I was going next with the leaked draft, is as far as your champion, Daniel Bryan, what kind of credible heels is he going to have? I mean, other than the members of Evolution, Randy Orton, Batista, and Triple H, he's going to be facing Kane this Monday, but after that, it's a little... Well, the problem is Bray Wyatt's involved with Cena at the moment. So, I mean, that could be something to lead into, I don't know, Money in the Bank or Battleground in July, perhaps.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, Battlegrounds in July 20th. That's right. I mean, maybe go that direction, although... The other possibility is maybe Batista ends up with a title run in the summer to lead into the release of his movie Guardians of the Galaxy. So maybe they're kind of holding off for that. So maybe Bray won't be in the title mix until later in the fall or winter. So I don't know. But I mean, once you get past the members of Evolution and the Wyatt family, it kind of gets a little thin. I mean, you have Cesaro at the moment, who's officially a heel, but is kind of that tweener because the fans still cheer him. Del Rio, Swagger, Rybaxel, Bad News Barrett, I mean, Fandango, Damian Sandow. I mean, how many of those are really credible championship threats at this point?
True.
And then it just, I'm looking at the available talent roster, it just goes down from there. Titus O'Neil, 3MB, Brad Maddox,
3.5 MB.
3.5 MB?
I'm guessing you didn't see this week with Hornswoggle?
Well, yeah. Some of these things I try to just get out of my mind for good reason.
I don't think you're the only one.
Yeah, Hornswoggle, El Torito, really. And meanwhile, yeah, exactly. Speaking of really, I mean, there's The Miz, but he's off along with Summer Rae filming the Marine 4 until sometime next month. So they're listed as unavailable. That's one of the... I'll get into it now. Yeah, somebody decided to leak the third draft of this past Monday's Raw script. So it has kind of a page-by-page breakdown of each match and segment that's going to go on, who the writer and producer is for each segment, and it's kind of an interesting breaking of the fourth wall in a sense. And it kind of goes through, and for the most part it played out as it was written here, but probably one of the more notable things came near the back of the script. It kind of notes, all right, talent not working a match, talent not represented on the show. It's got an available talent roster and an overall talent roster. And it notes, for example, Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan off until April 20th because they're right now on their honeymoon. In case you didn't hear, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella did tie the knot. They are officially married. They had a nice little ceremony a week and a day ago out in some resort in Arizona. So they're doing their honeymoon thing until tomorrow, and then they'll be back this Monday. Rey Mysterio is listed as injured, return to be determined, as is Christian, Alberto Del Rio. As I mentioned, The Miz and Summer Rae are off until May 16th because they're filming the movie The Marine 4. And both CM Punk and AJ Lee are listed as injured and return to be determined. So let the speculation begin. One of the rumors that was passed around this week was that AJ Lee is now taking off to plan her wedding to CM Punk. And much to the delight of our young intern who is not here today, the other rumor going around is that before she marries CM Punk, that she has agreed to do a Playboy spread. To the delight of, I think...
What disgusting filth.
I'm sure Vince McMahon publicly agrees, and privately he's looking forward to it.
I wouldn't look at that disgusting filth for any more than 3 hours. Only 3 hours I'd look.
And there you have Nick Cataldi's show prep for the Countryman. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I've left him in silence.
I don't get it.
That's probably a good thing. But removed from roster, Ezekiel Jackson and Warrior. Of course, Ezekiel Jackson recently putting in his notice that he was not going to be renewing. Roster moved to miscellaneous, Brock Lesnar, Road Dogg, and Billy Gunn. So it looks like they're not going to be wrestling for a bit. So, yeah, just a few interesting tidbits. There's a checklist for the show itself as well as writers' promos for both pre-tape and in-ring. And it's kind of just a checklist. I love some of these things. Don't look directly into camera. Don't mention current location or city where applicable. And don't mention certain buzzwords, including feud and belt. Those are apparently no-no words. Because Vince feels that even though it is a championship belt, a belt is what you put around your waist to hold your pants up. That is the logic that is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Go figure. Anyway, I think I'll put the link up for those who haven't seen it up on the website after the show, the WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly Facebook fan page. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Silence.
Yeah. Harry, you still with us?
I thought I was on hold or something. No.
Why would we put you
You're
on
all the way
hold?
live, brother. You are live. No, No, why would I put you back on hold? That would be
ignorant.
That would be ignorant. That would be D-baggy of me, and that's not how I try to be.
Yeah, I did forget Lucas wasn't here for a minute there, so treatment all that.
Wow, Lucas is getting the Sean Mooney treatment. That isn't right.
The CM Punk thing's quite interesting, considering people thought, oh yeah, he'll be back at WrestleMania, Oh yeah, he's gone. Oh yeah, he's not coming back. But no, still he's injured,
Well, now fans are, I think, hoping and circling their calendar for June 1st, which is when WWE Payback will emanate from Chicago, Illinois.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I don't have my hopes. I don't think Punk's coming back there, but I know a lot of fans, Lucas included, are crossing their fingers, hoping, crossing the X's on their straight-edge wristbands and everything else, hoping that the Second City Savior will return.
Any idea when his contract runs out? Because that seems to be what they're doing.
I believe it runs out in July. Similar to a few years ago when he left with the title following beating John Cena at Money in the Bank when it was in Chicago a couple of years ago.
Okay. So maybe he'll just go there. He'll just go then and won't re-sign, or.
I don't know. The only thing that's for sure with CM Punk is nothing's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you're going to transition into something with Sting now, aren't you?
Nah, not really. I think it was a Piper line, actually, wasn't it? Or no, it was Sting. That's right.
It was Sting.
Piper was one just when you think you have all the answers, I change the questions. That's
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I get my vagaries confused from those guys. Although mentioning Piper, I could transition into Legends House, but no. It was uncomfortable. It was the thing. It happened. It's going to continue to happen because WWE's been promoting it for the last 3 years. I don't know. I feel like Legends House was trying to be like the real world, and it almost feels like the male equivalent of the Golden Girls.
Speaking of uncomfortable, have you got into Eric Young and the TNA title yet?
Yeah, that was brought up by Ron from Morrisville, who called in a little bit ago. He still thinks it's a good idea.
It's not.
It's
uncomfortable.
A little bit. It's awkward. Maybe is probably another way. I don't know. What word do you want to go with?
Well, more okay. I wonder if we'll make a bearded guy our world champion. We didn't see that anywhere else.
Yeah, not recently or anything.
No.
All it's missing is like a cheer. Absolutely, 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 or something similar to yes. Yeah, great. I've just given Dixie Carter an idea. You'll start seeing at this after the most recent tapings. Why do I do these things? I don't know.
Well, I guess Global Force Wrestling will make up for where they've failed.
There we go. All right, I got to get to some news and notes. Thanks for chiming in. The great Harry Barnett calling in all the way from England, where it's closing in on 6 o'clock, I think, local time there, 6 p.m.? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I've got my math and things together. All right, news and notes to close things out here. Well, since he mentioned Global Force Wrestling, their partnership with a TV production company. Yes, Jeff Jarrett's new promotion, Global Force Wrestling, it has a strategic partnership with Dave Broom and 25/7 Productions out of Los Angeles. 25/7 was launched by Broom back in 2003. Broom's notable credits include being the creator and executive producer of the long-running NBC hit series The Biggest Loser. You know, the weight loss series. And also executive producing Tsunami Aid, a concert of hope for NBC, as well as doing live specials for the NHL. So a little interesting note there. We mentioned TNA. James Storm, Gunner, and Robbie E. all re-signing with TNA, signing multi-year deals with the company. Congrats to them. DirecTV no longer carrying WWE pay-per-views. That's right. Satellite provider DirecTV will not be carrying WWE pay-per-view events going forward, including the Extreme Rules event on May 4th. DirecTV not listing Extreme Rules in their sports pay-per-view package, but they do list tonight's UFC 172 event as well as TNA Sacrifice on April 27th. WWE's response? Yes, DirecTV has decided to stop offering our pay-per-views residentially and commercially. The only other option would be to work through the local cable provider. And, of course, all WWE pay-per-view events are available on the WWE Network as part of the $9.99 monthly package. So, yeah, Daniel Bryan, I mentioned he tied the knot. And WrestleMania 30, here's an interesting bit of news, viewed in over 1 million homes in the U.S. Gotta love that self-promotion. WWE announcing at WrestleMania 30 reached a record 1 million households in the U.S. alone on WWE Network and pay-per-view combined, the first time WrestleMania has eclipsed this mark domestically. With over 667,000 network subscribers in the U.S. and nearly 400,000 domestic pay-per-view buying homes for WrestleMania 30, WWE is confident that it will reach its goal of 1 million subscribers by the end of the calendar year. WWE Network will be rolled out in Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Nordics in late 2014, early 2015. So that'll hopefully help get them to their goal. All right, I've stalled long enough with it. The Saudi Sausage Fest update. WWE is holding the third of 3 shows this week in Saudi Arabia where no women were allowed. That's right. This was WWE's first trip to the extremely religious, conservative Islam nation. In fact, if you attempted in Saudi Arabia to buy tickets online at Ticketmaster, there is a line that reads, "This event is for males only." That's right. No girls allowed. The WWE Divas did not make the trip to Saudi Arabia for the 3 shows. They had one Thursday night, one last night, and the final show is tonight in Saudi Arabia.
They shouldn't have gone.
Well, WWE does have a growing presence in the Middle East. I mean, in the past, they've done shows in Egypt and a couple of other, I think, Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. So this is their first time going into Saudi Arabia. And, I mean, I'm sure it's popular, and they're trying to expand their fan base regardless of the socio-political views of the country toward women.
If they had gone to South Africa, they'd have been castigated for it. They'd have been criticized.
They've gone to South Africa.
No, years ago, when Nelson Mandela was still in the can, people were like criticized for doing business in South Africa. But this sort of thing goes on.
I remember specifically, I think Vader got in trouble when they did a South African tour back in '97.
Right. Well, I'm just saying.
So I know. I mean, that was one of those deals where a South African TV host had asked went through the whole wrestling is fake type question. And
what?
Yeah, and then
get out.
And then, of course, Vader struck him and said, "Does that seem fake to you?" And that got him into a little bit of heat. He was actually arrested in South Africa for that.
Dr. D. David shows it the same thing.
Yeah, Stossel back in '84.
Dumb question, really. You're going to walk up, and
I know.
You're going to walk up to a guy and say, "Listen, this," and especially when he's making his living from it, he's going to defend it. Gorilla Monsoon proved that.
Yeah. And, of course, I feel like I can't believe I haven't mentioned it in the last 58 minutes, but, of course, the big thing from Raw, Evolution reforming. The group, at least 3/4 of it. The faction that was essentially the 2000s equivalent of the Four Horsemen, which was Ric Flair, Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton.
Right.
Well, all of them except Flair are back together, and it has been announced as of last night on SmackDown for Extreme Rules coming up on May 4th. A 6-man tag match of Evolution against The Shield. So you've got that along with John Cena and Bray Wyatt in a steel cage. Big E against the winner of the number 1 contenders tournament for the Intercontinental Championship, and Paige defending the Divas Championship against Tamina Snuka. So you got that going on, and then the Sacrifice lineup. There's 7 matches, which I'll have next week on the Facebook fan page with my predictions certain to go wrong. And I may have them on the air here if the game gets rained out, but if not, I'll be back in 2 weeks for an Extreme Rules preview and all kinds of news and notes. And I believe, I don't know, will Lucas be back? He may not be. I'm not sure. We'll find out. I'm pretty sure he'll be joining me, though, on the road in 3 weeks for our road trip to Senator Tomlinson's Children's Expo. So that should be a lot of fun. Love doing the road trip. The belts and the Slammy will be out on display. It's always a good time out at Senator Tomlinson's Children's Expo. I think this is the 5th or 6th year I've done it now, and it's a blast. Anyway, that's it for me. Stay tuned. Nick Catali's got country music coming your way, and I'll be back in 2 weeks, possibly 1 week, with Pro Wrestling Weekly.
1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.